Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Ordinary Adventures.
As you probably know, we just got back from China. We went to Hong Kong, we went to Beijing, and we went to Shanghai. And a lot of you have asked us, what's it like to travel to China? How can we travel to China? You had so many questions.
So many questions. And every time you guys left a comment, we said, hold on. We're going to make a whole video dedicated to that.
Planning this trip was not easy. Traveling to another country can be intimidating. Visas and other stuff, it can all be complicated. So we wanted to make this video so we could help others who might want to plan a trip to China, might want to visit the theme parks over there. But the truth is, it really wasn't that complicated after all.
There was just a lot of steps that you have to take, but once you're there, it wasn't that hard.
International travel can be intimidating, and we hope that some of you might also be inspired to travel and step out of your comfort zone like we did. We've found it so rewarding going to Japan, going to China. It can be scary at first, but once you get there, it's like the trip of a lifetime.
The food, you guys, was so good. I have dreams about how good the food was.
Yeah. When we were planning this trip, there wasn't a lot of resources for traveling to China as an American post 2020. I don't know what happened in 2020. Something big happened in 2020. When we went to Japan, there was the TDR Explorer's guide book. There isn't a guidebook to the Chinese parks. There weren't many vlogs on YouTube about Americans going to China because for a long time it had been closed off. So we did a lot of work. Hopefully you will benefit from this work. Disclaimer, we've only traveled to China once and we don't know everything, but we've learned a lot that I think we can pass on to you. It can be beneficial to you, hopefully, if you're thinking about travel to China. First thing you got to know is Hong Kong is not mainland China. Yeah, so it's a special administrative region of China. Under Chinese sovereignty, it operates as one country, two systems principle, which means that basically has its own legal, economic, political systems that's different than mainland China. Basically, what you need to know is they have their own currency, they have their own laws, and the visa requirement is different. Like, if you go to Hong Kong, you can go there without a visa for up to 90 days as American.
It's funny because like they have their own like little apps and stuff that they use there. And then as soon as you go to mainland China, it's totally different.
One of the top questions we got was getting a visa to go to China hard?
I would say it takes quite a few steps.
Okay.
It's not hard. It's just complicated. There's a lot of things that you got to do to get it just right.
It's complicated. It's not free. It will take you some time. The good news here is that you might not have to apply to a visa.
Tell us more about that, Peter.
So mainland China offers a 144-hour visa-free transit policy for travelers who want to stay in specific cities in China for up to 6 days without obtaining a visa.
That was something that we considered before our trip. We're like, we want to spend more than 6 days in China. So we just went ahead and got the full visa.
Yeah, see, the catch was for us, we were like, when are we ever going to visit China again? This is probably going to be a once in a lifetime trip. We want to go to Beijing and see Universal. There's a new theme park in Beijing. And basically, if we did this 144-hour visa thing, or non-visa, we could only spend 6 days in mainland China and we couldn't travel from Shanghai to Beijing. Okay, let me clarify here. So if you wanted to visit, say, Hong Kong and Shanghai, those are the two, you don't necessarily need a visa. You can fly into Shanghai, stay there up to 6 days, then fly out of there into Hong Kong and stay there up to 90 days before flying home or somewhere else that isn't mainland China. So if you just want to do that, you probably don't need a visa if you're from the United States.
Yeah. But we wanted to go to Beijing. And now we have a 10-year visa. So if we wanted to go back, we thought it was going to be a once-in-a-lifetime trip. We might go back at some point. Who knows?
Yeah.
I just want to specify, in case this is the first time you've ever clicked on one of our videos, we are a theme park travel and food channel. So we're going to be talking a lot about theme parks in this video. Because we made one of these videos about Japan and we got some comments that were like, why are you talking about Disney so much? So subscribe.
Disney is important to us. So is Universal. But also, don't just go there and go to theme parks. Go and explore China.
Do a little bit of both.
As for how we applied and got our visa, I'll talk about that later in the video because it's a little bit more complicated. I don't want to bore the people that don't want to know that right now. So hang in there. Is it expensive to travel to China? Actually, not as much as you think, to be honest with you. So international airfare doesn't have to be super expensive. A lot of people assume going to international destinations might be out of their budget, but in many cases, it could theoretically be cheaper to go to Hong Kong Disneyland in Hong Kong or Tokyo Disneyland in Tokyo for a week than it would be to go to Disney World and staying at a deluxe hotel there.
When I found that out, that kind of blew my mind. So for this specific trip, for us, it cost us about $500 per day, but you could do it for a lot cheaper. We were staying in fancy Disney hotels. We got premium economy flights, which are a little bit more than normal economy. So we definitely could have done it for cheaper, but we wanted to like go all out.
$500 a day is for everything. Food, travel, hotels,
Uber, train,
insurance, everything. The thing I want to tell you is, if you've watched our Japan video, you know this. There's a Google travel hack to get the lowest airfare. What you do is go to the Google travel website and you put where you're flying from and where you want to fly to, and you don't put dates. You hit search. And then you scroll through that and you can find the best possible prices throughout the year. So that's the way to find out when you can get the cheapest flights. And you could find flights to Hong Kong from Los Angeles, where we are, as low as $800 round trip. So, I mean, that's a good deal.
So some of you might not know, but a few years ago, I actually broke my leg while in the Caribbean on a cruise. So when we went to China this year, we decided to get travel insurance.
Yeah, we talked to our friends, Attractions 360. They recommended this website called Square Mouth. And basically you go on this website and it can give you a bunch of different options for travel insurance. We got a plan that I think was $114 total for both of us.
Yeah, not bad.
Yeah, and that included trip cancellation 100%, up to $500,000 medical, baggage delay, a lot of other stuff. You know, did anything happen? No, but better safe than sorry.
Exactly. So just get the travel insurance. You never know.
Another thing you must know before traveling to China, especially mainland China, is how to pay for things. Because in mainland China, they really don't use cash much anymore.
They don't. And they don't even really use credit cards either. Everything is done on the phone on an app, or a few apps, actually. Alipay and WeChat.
Basically, they use these apps. They're called like everything apps. It's basically what Elon wants to make Twitter into. Mm-hmm. Is it going to happen? Probably not. I mean, every place has to take cash, but they probably might not have change. Major places will take credit cards. Like when we were in Beijing at Universal Studios, they said they took credit cards, although they didn't take American Express, which is our preferred credit card. The two times that we tried to use a credit card, we literally handed over the credit card and their face became like white. Like they had seen a ghost.
Oh no, what do I do?
And they were like trying to type stuff in. It was...
So the app that we ended up using the most in China was Alipay. You can also use WeChat, but it's very easy to set up. So I would highly, highly recommend download those apps before you go and set up all your information. So by the time you land, you're like good to go.
Yeah. But once you set it up, it's simple. Basically, when you go up to pay for something, you just pull up your app, you go to your QR code. It's right on the top, right where they would have the credit card reader. They have this like little scanner and you just scan your QR code and then it's and magically deducts from your bank account.
But I do want to say, if you're going to Hong Kong, it is a little bit different. It's not as like rare to use credit cards there.
The other cool thing is these everything apps like Alipay have like other things in them. So like they'll have an app inside the app that's like their version of Uber. It's called Didi, D-I-D-I. And it's super cheap to like get taxis around.
So cheap.
Yeah. We found Alipay easier to sign up for as Americans than WeChat. And later I learned when I was at CVS getting a prescription that CVS in America uses Alipay. So it's like a thing that's used in America. It's not just this thing that's over there. Yeah.
Well, good thing I still have my app. I haven't deleted it yet.
I would recommend if you're going to go into any foreign country, get some currency before you land. Either
just to have.
Yeah. But I would say like exchange like $100, $200 just to have on you and then you can exchange it later, even though I barely used it.
Yeah, but it was good just in case.
Yeah. Interesting topic that I know Kitra has a lot to talk about. Restrooms.
I was going to say toilets. Yes. You know, I'm an expert. So one of I think the biggest culture shocks for me personally was the bathroom situation in specifically mainland China, but a little bit in Hong Kong too. But I didn't really find it that much in Hong Kong. It was more once we got to mainland China. A lot of the restrooms are just holes in the ground.
They're called squat toilets.
Yeah. Most restrooms have like at least one, I want to say, westernized toilet. But for the majority, it's just holes in the ground. Another thing, a lot of them don't have toilet paper and they don't have paper towels or soap when you wash your hands.
I feel like people have stopped the video and they're like, we're not going to China.
And I always like to know where the nearest toilet is. I'm just a paranoid person. Wherever we go, I have to scope it out. There it is. Okay. And then I feel relieved. Just carry toilet paper with you in your bag. Grab some from your hotel, put it in your bag just to have, because you never know.
So you probably want to know, why do they use squat toilets in China? They've been used in China for centuries. Most people believe they're more hygienic because there's no direct contact with your butt and the seat.
Yeah, we get it.
And they use less water than Western style toilets. So they take up less space and they can fit more toilets in a restroom area. I would say do not freak out over this.
Yeah.
As long as you keep toilet paper with you,
you're good.
You're good. But it is funny going, there was one time I had to go and I went into a restaurant and they had a toilet and I went to sit down in a toilet and then I realized there was no toilet paper roll dispenser thing. Not that it was out of toilet paper. There was literally not a thing on the wall. And even I left there and I went to get the hand towels, the paper hand towel. No hand towel. Yeah. So that is a common occurrence in non-tourist areas.
# pack your toilet paper with you.
So the number one question that we got on Instagram is, did it feel safe in China? Were you scared?
I'm going to be honest. Before we got there, leading up to it, I was a little bit nervous. Because we were getting a lot of messages, a lot of DMs from people when they found out that we were going to China. They were like, be careful. You're going to China.
They're going to get arrested.
They're going to arrest you simply for existing there. And I'm here to tell you.
Before you tell them, it's interesting because none of these people, I would always ask, have you been in China? They're like, no, I just watched the news. And then I talked to our friends, Teeter, our explorer, has been to China recently, Attraction 360, JoJo, and all of them were like, you'll be fine. It's fine. It's fine.
Yeah. So even with them telling me that, I still was like, I don't know. I'm a little bit nervous. We got there and you guys, it was so safe. You have nothing to worry about. Everybody is a tourist there. Everybody has a camera. No one is paying attention to anyone else. Everybody's just doing their own thing. Once we did get into mainland China, though, I did notice a very heavy police presence. There's a cop on every corner.
There's cameras everywhere.
Cameras at every intersection. It didn't bother me. You know what I mean?
I want to say right now that this channel is not a place to talk about the political situation in China. If you want to talk about that or learn about that, go elsewhere. Yeah. We're just going to talk about this from the place of American tourists going to China and how it felt. And to me, it felt extremely safe. In Shanghai, they have these bike messengers all over the place. I think they deliver everything because they're riding on the sidewalks, they're riding on the street.
Oh yeah.
and they have these huge baskets.
Forgot about that.
Yeah, they have these huge baskets in the back of their bike and they have packages. It's just loaded with packages. You'll see. And it's funny because they'll stop on the side of the road, jump off the bike, grab a package, run into this apartment building to deliver something. And they'll just leave their bike there with the thing open. There's no lock. There's PlayStations just hanging out in the back of their bike. And no one's stealing anything. If that happened in Los Angeles,
that would never happen here.
Yeah, it would be gone. The things would be gone. And it might be because there's cameras there and who knows what happens to people that get caught doing things there. But I don't know. To me, it felt completely safe.
Yeah. And sidetrack, the bikes, they're everywhere. And Peter was saying, they're on the sidewalks. So you always got to be aware, and they'll usually honk at you, but they will come at any direction and they do not stop for people. So just keep that in mind.
Yeah. Probably my biggest mistake that I made on this trip. So we usually like to use our international plans on our phones. The other options are you rent a internet hub you bring along with you, and it's just a shared Wi-Fi kind of hub. And you rent that by the day, or you get an eSIM. So we usually do the international plan. It usually is $10 a day. It's less hassle. You don't have to recharge your hotspot. You don't have to install an eSIM. And before our trip, I have Verizon, she has AT&T. And before you ask why we have two different services, why Why do we have to? Oh, you're on a family plan, and also
No, I used to be on a family plan.
you used to be on the family plan. We just never got.
And I just never changed it because it's fine. Yeah.
Well, you know what? Here's why we have two different services, because we would have been
Because
screwed.
one is better than the other.
No,
I'm
because
just kidding.
no, but sometimes we'll be someplace and she'll have no service and I'll have service.
Yeah. You know what? That's actually a good strategy.
Yeah. I went on the Verizon website and I looked to see if there was international data in China, and there was like, yes. And I didn't look any further. I should have probably investigated it a little bit further, because not all international data plans are the same. And when we landed, I got this text message from Verizon, like $2 a megabyte.
So we're freaking out. But luckily, your girl over here who has AT&T worked without a hitch. And none of my apps were blocked either. I could check YouTube. I could check TikTok.
Well, okay, we'll get into that in a bit, because you're confused. You might be confusing people. So what I ended up doing, you're probably wondering, what was the solution to this? And the solution was I got an eSIM. So I got my eSIM from Air Allo. It's very easy. Basically, you go on there, you pick if you're going to be there need 7 days or 30 days, and it can cost anywhere from $5 to $50, and it's very easy to install on your phone. You just go into the settings and install it, and I would definitely recommend it. You can use your data any way you want. You can use iMessage, you can use the web, you can use social media, and the only problem is with an eSIM is you are in the China cellular network, and what that might mean is you are behind the Great Firewall, which another thing we need to explain to you guys.
Yeah, so once you get into mainland China, they have a massive firewall up that blocks certain apps that you're used to enjoying over here in America. Like, what do we?
Google? And that includes all Google services. So that includes search, Gmail, YouTube, Google Maps.
All of the social media platforms. So Twitter, Instagram, Facebook.
They have TikTok, but it's their own different TikTok.
All those things, you could open the app, then nothing happens.
That said, if you have a cellular phone from the United States and you have international data like Kitra did,
everything worked for me. I had zero problems.
That's the only bad thing about getting an eSIM. If you get an eSIM and you get a VPN, you can bypass the firewall and you'll have no problem accessing.
So that's what Peter did.
Yeah. Well, I wanted you Google Translate, and I used Gmail.
He planned our whole trip, so he had to have access to all those things, because I wouldn't have known what to do without it.
Another app that we'd highly recommend getting is called Currency. We use this all the time. Basically, you can convert like Chinese, Hong Kong dollars into United States dollars. It'll show you how much something is. So like, say you're in a store and you'd like type in, oh, this thing on the wall is 200. You type it in there and it shows you how much 200 is in American dollars.
Very handy.
A lot of people want to know about transportation and what you do once you get there. So it's different in each country. Let's talk about Hong Kong first. Hong Kong, most people use the public transit system. It's cheap. It's easy. In Hong Kong, there's a thing called the Octopus card. And you can make a mistake here. We made this mistake. Is in Japan, the way to add the transit card to your phone is you go to the Apple Wallet and you just go to the Suica, however you pronounce it, and then you just add it. The Octopus card is in the Apple Wallet section,
but only for people who have a Hong Kong bank account. Yeah. So there is a separate app for visitors. So you just have to go to the App Store and download that.
I think it's Octopus for tourists.
Tourists. There we go.
But then once you add it, you can put money onto the card and it stays in your Apple Wallet, and you don't even have to pull it up. When you go into the train station, subway, bus, ding ding, you just take your phone and you scan it. You don't even scan it. You just place it on top and it'll go bing. It's
very easy.
Yeah. And you might also wonder what happens if like your phone dies. Will you not be able to get on the public transportation? No, because for like 5-6 hours after, it still works magically.
I love that.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
Yeah. And there's a bunch of different ways you can get around Hong Kong. So there's the subways that are just like normal subways. There's buses, and there's also those ding dings that we showed you. Like it's like
there's even boats.
Oh yeah, boats too.
They all take the Octopus card.
Yeah. In Shanghai and Beijing, they use something called the Shanghai T-Union. It's a similar kind of card. I think you can put it in your Apple Wallet. We didn't really take public transportation in mainland China. We kind of just did taxis. So I don't really have the information for you on that. Because there is the Great Firewall, a lot less people use Google in mainland China. So if you're looking on Google Maps, sometimes things will not be in the correct area.
Yeah.
I would highly recommend using Apple Maps over Google Maps because there's a lot of expats over there that use Apple Maps and it's more accurate.
Yeah, like that one time we went, you like directed us somewhere and it was like completely the wrong area. And then we were like lost and we had to walk. We didn't show this in the video.
So as I mentioned, in Shanghai, we used taxis and we did that through the Didi app that's in Alipay. It's very easy. You pull it up. It's just like Uber. You tell them where you are and where you want to go and shows up. You get in. It's very simple. One night we took a 20-minute ride from Shanghai Tower back to our hotel and it cost $4.
Yeah, which is like unheard of. At least like where we live in Los Angeles, that would have been like a $45 Uber ride.
Yeah. Interesting things about eating in China.
It's delicious.
Oh, the food is so good.
Oh, it was so good.
I think we like the food in China more than we like the food in Japan.
Yeah. We ate a lot of pork soup dumplings, let me tell you.
Yeah. I mean, I am a connoisseur of Chinese food. So. But a few things I want to tell you about eating in China because it is a little bit different. They will not come over to you with the check. You need to wave down a server to pay or even order. They won't come over to you. They won't bug you ever.
I kind of love that they don't bother you. But like in the beginning, it was a little bit like, what do we do?
Yeah, we're like, should we?
Hello.
And some smaller restaurants will seat you at communal tables. So you might be sat with strangers. It doesn't happen at like theme parks or stuff like that. But it's like, especially the smaller restaurants. Because there's restaurants that only fit like 10 people.
Yeah.
I heard that people in China are not nice to foreigners. Is that true?
Guess what? False.
False.
That is not true. Everybody that we encountered was super nice. You know, everybody's just doing their own thing. I kind of said this earlier, but nobody's paying attention to you. Everybody there is a tourist, but the people that we did encounter were very, very nice to us. Sometimes there was a language barrier, but that was about it.
I feel like I saw the opposite of this being true, where there'd be sometimes we'd go up to buy something from someone like a merchant who was Chinese, and they would almost be nervous because they couldn't communicate with us or what, like they were scared to, like they didn't know how to help us and they felt bad.
Yeah.
Big question from a lot of people that watched our theme park videos is, how's the language barrier? Are rides in English? You should know in Hong Kong used to be an English colony. So English is a second language there. So there's a lot of English signs. There's people that have English as a second language. Not that like we talked a lot to people in English, but it's available. When you go to mainland China, no one speaks English.
Yeah. And a lot of like the rides and shows and stuff are all in Chinese. And we were getting some comments that are like, oh, I wouldn't be able to understand it. Trust me, you'll understand it.
Yeah. When they plan theme park attractions, when they plan theme park shows, it's visual storytelling. Walt Disney Imagineering is designing these things to be played to people that are deaf, people that are blind. Like, you know what I mean? It's supposed to be inclusive. In Hong Kong, it was interesting because there would often be, actually even in mainland China, there would be sometimes a screen when someone's speaking in a different language, it would say the English. The person, like even in Zootopia, there was something like that, right?
Yeah, that's so thoughtful. Why don't we do stuff like that over here in America?
But outside of theme parks, we should say that like we didn't encounter a lot of people that spoke English, but it's easy to get by with a translation app like Google Translate. Like when you're ordering something at a restaurant, you point to like the menu items. It's very easy.
Or like when you're at the theme park and you want to sit like in the front row, you write it on your little translator and you say, please. And they say, yes, of course.
I just want to cut in and say that a translator app on your phone is going to be more than enough to get you by when traveling internationally. That said, I don't feel like we really connected with anybody when we were traveling to China and Japan because of the language barrier. And I would love to go back to Japan and when I do have a better understanding of that language. So it's amazing that Rosetta Stone reached out to us about sponsoring this video. And I thought, this is just the kick in the butt I need to get started. The thing I like about Rosetta Stone is it's designed to teach you languages using native speakers' audio and matching that up to visuals. Let me show you. They will present a word spoken by someone from Japan.
女の子
And then you repeat the word. Onenoko. And as you see, the voice recognition tool gives you instant feedback. And that tells me how well I'm pronouncing the word. So it really helps me to hone my pronunciation. And right now, Rosetta Stone is offering 60% off a lifetime subscription. So all you need to start your language journey is click the link in the description below. I love that it's lifetime access with one payment. There's no monthly subscription fee you gotta worry about. You can dive as deep as you want with any of the 25 languages that Rosetta Stone offers. You can learn at home on your computer. You can learn on the go with your phone. If you have a few minutes, you could learn a couple words. And thanks again to Rosetta Stone for partnering with us for this portion of today's video. And now back to our discussion. Here's something that a lot of people were shocked at is passports. In mainland China, you use your passport to get into many attractions. Like when you buy tickets to something, it's linked to your passport. So you scan your passport to go like anything that requires tickets, observation decks, parks, theme parks for admission, you have to use your passport. And when we said that in one of the videos, people were like, I don't want to carry my passport around with me all day. I have news for you.
You're going to have to.
When you travel internationally, you're supposed to carry your passport at all times. When you're in Japan or China, you do not have your passport with you when you leave your hotel. You're actually breaking the law.
Put it in a nice spot where you won't lose it because they're going to be asking you for your passport a lot.
Okay, Hong Kong. What are your thoughts on Hong Kong?
Amazing. Loved it. It was so beautiful. Oh gosh, I loved it so much. And I feel like we didn't get to explore that much of it. It was vibrant, beautiful. I loved the hillside, the buildings.
I think that's what I wasn't expecting, is there to be so much greenery and
yeah, it was like a tropical climate.
Yeah, and I think you said this to me when we were there. You said it's like the East meets the West.
Yeah.
And I just love how there's these buildings that have apartment upon apartment, and they're all drying their clothes outside their window. And
very narrow, tall, skinny buildings. Such a beautiful, beautiful place. I would definitely recommend, you got to be a tourist when you're there. I would say one of my favorite days is the day that we took the train out and we did the big Buddha.
Yeah.
That was so cool.
The Ngong 360.
Yeah. That was that really made me feel wow, okay, I'm in another country. I had to pinch myself that I was actually there.
I mean, everything we did, I could highly recommend. I don't think there was one thing that we did this trip that I wouldn't recommend. The Peak Tram to Victoria's Peak, very touristy, but it's a fun ride and you get an amazing view.
Yeah, you get some good photos up there. I would say definitely take the boat over to Kowloon because I actually kind of liked the vibe over at Kowloon.
Yeah.
I loved Hong Kong proper, but Kowloon was really cool.
And if you like collectibles or Legos, check out those collectible malls that we checked out. Yeah. I would hit up all the food that we did, like the bubble waffles, Tim Ho Wan dim sum.
My mouth is watering just thinking about all the delicious food that we got to have. I kind of like what we do. We normally try to do the city first to get a little acclimated to what it's like. Yeah. And then we go to the theme parks. And I feel like that's a good strategy. So you're not just dropped into fairy tale land and then you go out into the real world. You know what I mean?
Okay, so we went to Beijing and we went to Universal Studios Beijing there. That was just built. We had plans to explore Beijing and do some stuff. There was one day that we had plans to go to the Great Wall of China. We didn't.
We had been going and going and going and going. We just needed a day to rest. But we realized that the Great Wall wasn't as close to the Beijing city center as we originally thought. It was 2 or 3 hours there and then 2 or 3 hours back. So it's a full day. I get motion sickness in the car sometimes, so I just didn't want to deal with it. So our perspective of Beijing is very limited.
It felt very industrial while driving through it.
It felt a lot more smog. I feel it was just more condensed there.
Oh yeah, so when we first got there and we went into City Walk, it had the most beautiful
every night sunset. There was a beautiful sunset because of the smog. I don't know if it's just,
but it didn't hurt us breathing wise or anything.
Yeah, it's definitely you could walk around and be fine. But I remember the first few days I'm is it just overcast? And I'm no, this is smog.
We did take the bullet train from Beijing to Shanghai.
Yeah, that was cool. I feel that was really cool to see some of the countryside.
Yeah. So the reason why we did that is it's a 4.5 hour long ride, but it's more comfortable. and you don't have to do like the security hassle that you do taking the airplane. Like an airplane would have been an hour or two or something like that. But like, so it's more than twice as long, but you get a big seat.
I would recommend that. I actually really enjoyed that because it was also nice to like be able to spread out, get up, walk around. You know what I mean? Like you're on a plane, you're kind of cramped in there.
Yeah. It was $310 total for us. So that was like $150 each. And we paid for it on a website called China Highlights. And we got a first class seat. So we weren't in coach. There was actually, I think, a class above first class. Okay, let's talk about Shanghai.
Loved Shanghai.
Yeah.
I think out of everywhere that we went, Hong Kong was probably my favorite, but Shanghai felt more modern. Like it felt more...
Well, it was old and new. Like you said East meets West for Hong Kong. For me, Shanghai was, yes, a lot of modern, but then there's like little pockets of like these places that have been there for like, centuries.
But I kind of liked that it was like a different change of pace than Hong Kong. Like, I don't know, it was really fun. Like we got to go up in some of the really tall skyscrapers and just see the entire city. And that was so much fun. I absolutely loved it. And I feel like we only had like 3 days in Shanghai. And I feel like that is not enough. We barely saw any of it.
And also it was at the end of our like 3 week
really
trip.
Tired.
We were tired. We were, travel wasted.
Definitely go to either the Pearl or go to...
Yeah, which one? Do you think Shanghai Tower or the Pearl? Which one was better?
Probably Shanghai Tower. Because you go a little bit higher.
Yeah.
It's like a little bit newer. They have that like cool light show thing at the end of it. And then definitely go to like the Old Town area with the gardens and the temple and like that really cool shopping mall. Yes. Like we spent all day there and I loved it so much.
It's called U Garden and U Bazaar, and that place was fantastic. There's like all sorts of food stalls. We had so much fun like trying different things. The Bund, great to walk down the Bund. Yeah. I don't know, the Bund sightseeing tunnel.
That's a must.
Yeah, if
you're gonna travel like over to one of the towers over there, you got to do it. And it was so cheap. It was so fun. So silly.
What do you think our favorite restaurant was in Shanghai?
Definitely that very first place that we went to, but it was right by our hotel with those amazing soup dumplings.
I think it was Jia Tang Bao.
Yeah. Was that your favorite place too?
Yes.
We went there so many times, you guys, not recording.
Yeah, we went back twice off camera.
Like our final day before our flight, we literally went there again. We're like, let's just go one more time.
Okay, so a lot of people are here because we're a theme park channel. They want to hear about the theme parks.
Yeah, let's talk about the theme parks. Finally, geez. I'm just kidding.
Before we talk about theme parks specifically, let's talk about generalized things that we learned traveling to theme parks in Asia. And I'll start things off with, I didn't expect this, but many people in Chinese Disney parks use selfie sticks. Which is so strange because they're banned in the United States parks. You can't go to Walt Disney World or Disneyland with a selfie stick. They'll take it away from you. But here, you can't use them on the rides. But there's people taking photos of themselves in front of the castles with selfie sticks. They would have ones with like tripods, and they'll put it down and take photos of themselves with the selfie sticks.
Yeah, I remember like when we went to Tokyo, I thought there was a lot of people taking photos there. No. It's in Hong Kong and it's in mainland China.
Yeah. Yeah. In Shanghai Disneyland, outside there's actually photographers that wait to be hired. You could hire them by the hour.
Why didn't we do that?
We probably should have.
We should have.
Our thumbnails would have looked better if we hired. That's how many people do photo shoots there. And like when we were in Zootopia, I don't know if you can tell in our video, but when we were in Zootopia, it was hard to video it because...
Well, you can't tell because... You would patiently wait until you had the opportunity to film something without a bunch of people in front of it.
Yeah.
But yeah, there was every single corner of Zootopia Land is a photo op. And trust me, it is swarming with people all trying to get their photo, holding their popsicle, like in front of the door.
It's almost like Zootopia was custom made for China for a photo shoot. Like they knew that the Chinese audience wanted the photo shoots and
yeah.
Another thing I wasn't expecting is there's still smoking sections inside the theme parks. In the domestic parks, that doesn't happen anymore.
Yeah, so people were just walking all around there, just smoking wherever.
and cast members weren't.
Yeah, nobody cared.
yeah.
Everyone's just like, yeah, this is normal. So just keep that in mind.
An interesting thing about food, specifically in theme parks, for the plastic gloves.
Yeah. I loved that though.
Yeah, it's good.
I absolutely loved that. I'm surprised they don't do that in Tokyo too. But yeah, for any time you got something greasy or messy, they would give you a pair of plastic gloves, and it made it so nice. Your hands didn't get dirty.
One thing you should know about the parks is they open later and they close earlier than in the States. So Hong Kong Disneyland opened at 10:30.
Which honestly, I kind of loved that because you got to sleep in a little bit.
But then it closed at 8 p.m. Universal was 9 to 7. Shanghai was 9 to 9. So you actually got a 12-hour day there. Just know that you're going to have a little less time in the parks.
One thing that blew my mind is how much love Duffy and Friends got in the international parks over there. Like, they love him so much there, even more than Japan, which truly shocked me because they really love him in Japan.
They love Duffy and Friends more than they like Mickey and his pals.
Oh, yeah. Big time.
I was so shocked because I had always heard that Duffy was huge in Japan.
Mm-hmm.
Duffy's really only in one of the Japanese parks. He's in Disney Seas, not in Disneyland. But over in China, Duffy and his friends are all over the place.
He's basically a god there.
I think he has more merchandise, or all of them combined have more merchandise in China, the Chinese parks, than they do in Japan.
Yeah. So every single store in every single land had Duffy and Friends merch. That was not the case in Tokyo.
Yeah.
But in Hong Kong and in Shanghai, you could be in Adventureland. Oh, let's go look at the Adventureland merch. It's literally just like Duffy stuff, which I love. And they love Chippendale over there too, which I love.
Okay, let's talk about Hong Kong Disneyland for a second. You're probably wondering, how did we get tickets? And also, how did we get tickets to all those attractions we mentioned? Most of the time we use Klook, because Klook is this app and it's very easy to use. It uses American currency. You don't have to like convert it and figure out what was happening. When we actually had trouble purchasing our Hong Kong Disneyland tickets on the Disneyland website. We tried 3 different credit cards, which is interesting because I had heard people have had trouble in Tokyo doing that, but we had trouble in China doing that. So we use Klook, and we use Klook for most of the things that we did in Hong Kong and the rest of the trip. 1-day tickets are $75 when we were there. And you could get 2-day tickets for $122. So that's like $60 a day.
Yeah. So cheap.
For $70, you could also add a pack of like 8 fast passes, the most popular rides in the park. We did that for one of the days, and I wish we didn't because it was not busy when we were there.
Yeah, it was a rainy, slow day. And I think we used one of our fast passes. So
yeah,
maybe like wait until you get there, see if it looks busy, and then purchase it.
Well, you can also just buy per attraction. So I would say just skip adding the fast passes to your ticket and just buy it the day of. Like if you want to get on rides, kind of like lightning lanes. Okay, another thing that surprised me is Hong Kong Disneyland is not open every day. It's hard to imagine Disney World and Disneyland not being open all year long because there's not a day that's closed. But that wasn't always the case. If you've ever seen National Lampoon's Vacation,
great example,
which had Wally World,
yeah,
but that was based on a John Hughes story, which was based on when he was a kid. Him and his family went to Disneyland. They showed up and it was closed.
Wow, I didn't know that was based on a truth. That's funny.
Yeah, so the story is like a story, but like it's based on that incident because Disneyland used to be closed on Mondays and Tuesdays. So not anymore. The domestic parks are never closed unless there's, a pandemic. Hong Kong Disneyland is usually closed on Wednesdays. I've checked the park calendar.
Yeah, make sure to double check. So a lot of the shows in Hong Kong were actually in English. That changed once we got to mainland China, but when we were in Hong Kong, a lot of like the songs and stuff were in English.
Yeah. I think that might be because, again, Hong Kong used to be a British colony. A lot of people there speak English. So one thing that surprised me about Hong Kong Disneyland is they don't have a downtown Disney area.
Yeah, that was so shocking to me. And they only had, 3 hotels total, and they're all like right next to each other and right next to the park.
Yeah, so if you're looking to do something at night, one of the nights, maybe do some resort hopping and go to the Marvel theme bar that we went
Yeah,
to.
I would highly recommend that, especially if you're staying at the hotel we were staying at. You could literally walk there and it takes 5 minutes. I absolutely loved Mystic Manor.
Yes.
That's probably one of my favorite rides of all time at this point. We went on that so many times. I absolutely adored Arendelle. It is a smaller park.
Yeah.
Like it makes it easier to manage because it's not as spread out. So you could do like a full loop and it doesn't feel like you're walking super far.
I like the Grizzly River mine carts or whatever.
I don't think that's what it's called, but yeah.
Something like that. It's basically Big Thunder
Grizzly
Mountain,
Gulch.
Grizzly Gulch, mine carts.
Yeah, that was so much fun. And speaking as somebody who like can't handle a lot of roller coasters, absolutely loved it.
Yeah, and they have their like little Marvel area in Tomorrowland, which I thought was like, it's small, but it's charming.
I loved their castle and I loved their fireworks show.
Oh yeah, their fireworks show is pretty solid.
Yeah. I think I liked the one at Shanghai better, but they were both really, really good.
Universal Studios Beijing opened during the pandemic. It's only like 2 years old. So it's like this fantastic theme park that almost no one outside of China has been to.
This park blew us away.
Yeah.
People keep asking us, what was your favorite park of the trip? And I'm like,
And by the way, they always say it like this. They say, what was your favorite park? Was it Shanghai or Hong Kong Disneyland? And they leave out the Universal. And I'm like,
and I'm going to be honest. Our answer is always that I think it was Universal Beijing, which I did not expect going into this trip. It was just such a lovely park. So many amazing things. The food was good. The Jurassic Park adventure ride is like literally one of the best rides that I've ever been on, period.
incredible.
The Toothless stage show, which I think is coming to Epic Universe.
It's going to be a version of that, but not the same.
Amazing. Brought me to tears.
Yeah.
Incredible. Even Minions Land, just so much fun. Even if you don't like the Minions, like you'll fall in love with them after going to Beijing.
The Kung Fu Panda land of awesomeness as a boat
Forgot about
ride.
That place was a vibe. Let me just say, we absolutely loved it. And I loved their city walk too. They had so many like unique restaurants that like we don't have here.
I love that ice cream place. That was like, it's just so aesthetically pleasing ice cream.
What was it called? Cutie cones?
Yeah. Tickets are sold on the Universal Beijing app, but you need Alipay or WeChat Pay to be able to buy it. And it's only available for people living in China. So again, the best place for Americans to get tickets is Klook. Tickets on Klook run like $104 a day or $186 for 2 days. So it's a little bit more expensive than Hong Kong. And you can get Express like you do in the American parks, which gets you like a fast pass onto all the rides. That's an additional $80 to $200 per person, depending on if you want 3, 5, or all rides. We didn't do that. We were there for 2 days and we got to go on everything in 2 days. We were also there during, wasn't a busy time. Our friends Attraction 360 went a month or two before and they said it was packed.
Yeah, I've been looking at the app, like, because you could look at the wait times, and we got so lucky. Yeah. We got to walk on to Jurassic Adventure, just got off, go back in, go back on. That's how empty it was. It was amazing.
Yeah. So an interesting thing you need to know about the Universal Beijing property is that they do facial scans. So when you go present your passport to get into the park, they scan your face. And this is not a Chinese government thing. This is a universal thing. It connects your face with your ticket. And if you have Express, basically you go up to the Express line and you scan your face and it lets you into Express. And I know we mentioned this in our video and a lot of people are like, oh, I'm not going to go there. I don't want my face scanned, whatever. I have bad news for you. Epic Universe is using this technology.
Yeah, this is coming to America,
to get you into the park, to get you into the world. So it's not a China thing. This is the future.
And I'm excited for it. It was painless, it was easy, and it was convenient.
I got to say my favorite food in Universal Beijing was Hammond's, which was the Jurassic Park restaurant.
And it was awesome because they had a huge menu that was kind of like the Cheesecake Factory where you could get anything you wanted. They had this like $100 like tomahawk steak.
I should have got that.
I know. But yeah, that place was great and the drinks were good too.
And I should also mention that they don't really do breakfast in the park. So you either got to grab that someplace else at City Walk, at your hotel. When you book your hotel, you can get a breakfast package.
Yeah. They do have they don't have a Starbucks, but they have I think, what was it? Pete's Coffee or something.
Okay, now let's talk about Shanghai Disneyland. This is the newest Disney theme park, and it's pretty incredible. It's huge. So if Hong Kong Disneyland to me feels like Disneyland, it feels like smaller. Everything's closer together. Shanghai to me feels like Magic Kingdom.
Very
Disney World.
spread out. I absolutely loved it though, because it was so different than any other castle park that we've ever been to. And their Mickey Avenue, which is what basically their main street, is like just this short little street with a few buildings. And then you're just like basically let out into this giant garden with all these different pathways, just like epically huge, which I love that because it never felt crowded. You could just kind of like go in any direction that you wanted to. And it was so beautiful.
You know what we should talk about is Disneytown, because they actually have a version of Downtown Disney. It's called Disneytown. It is like outside vendors, but they do have a Donald Duck restaurant and they do have World of Disney.
And they do have a Cheesecake Factory. So.
And we did eat at Cheesecake Factory. Listen, if you're 2.5 weeks in another country, mostly only eating...
We just wanted some Buffalo Blasts, okay? And it was great.
It's funny. There were so many people that like commented and were like, are you really making fun of people eating at Cheesecake Factory? And they didn't get the joke.
That like, yes, first of all, we are. But second of all, we are those people. We're making fun of ourselves. But no, I liked Mickey Town. It wasn't very big.
Disneytown?
Oh my God, why do I keep calling it Mickey Town?
Mickey Ave and Disneytown.
Disneytown. I liked Disneytown. It wasn't very big, but I just appreciated it because like we said in Hong Kong, there was nothing.
So tickets to Shanghai Disneyland, we were able to purchase them on the Shanghai Disneyland website. We got early bird tickets, which cost like $57 on the days we went, which is really affordable.
Yeah.
We stayed on property at a hotel. And when you do that, you get a shuttle bus that takes you.
That was nice.
But here's the thing. It was nice. But it takes you to this downtown Disney entrance, which is the Club 33 entrance. I didn't even know they had a Club 33, but they do. So you get this backdoor entrance into Shanghai Disneyland. Kind of disappointing for your first experience. Like you don't get to go down Mickey Ave.
You don't get the nice reveal like you would with the main entrance. But I did like it because it was like the lines were short and it was quick. I could just imagine the normal entrance. It probably had like tons of people lined up. You know what I mean? So that was nice. Like, it's a nice perk to have.
Well, we should talk about how people in China act in theme parks. And I don't think this is like people treating other people badly. I think this is just the culture of how people act in theme parks.
So people were a little pushy. You don't have a lot of personal space.
Yeah.
If you have like an inch or two gap between you and line, people are trying to squeeze in. Even if you're going to be in a line with somebody for 45 minutes, they want to get in front of you and then just awkwardly stand in front of you for the 45 minutes, which I felt was a little bit strange, but I didn't take it personally. It just kind of, at first I was a little taken aback, but then I got used to it as time went on.
When like a show opens up, people will run and they'll cut in front of you. Like
if you're walking too slow, you better like get out of the way.
It's just like an every person for themselves kind of mindset. Mm-hmm. And I don't think it's not like I'm screwing you over. It's just like that that's just how everybody does it. The other weird thing that we saw in Shanghai Disneyland was the scalper.
Not even just in Disneytown, but inside the park, everywhere, every land, just bags full of plushies.
They're like, Lena Bell, do you want a Lena Bell?
Yeah, like opening up their like trench coat, being like, you want some of this? Like it was very bizarre.
Let's be clear. These are not cast members going around selling stuffed animals. These were guests. Again, not something that really bothered us. Like we saw it happen. It was just weird to see.
Yeah, it was definitely different. Obviously, Pirates of the Caribbean.
One of the best rides of all time.
We loved it so much, but I hope they bring that ride technology over to America and we get something like that over here because it was so much fun. You're in a boat, but then you could like go backwards. You could like, there's all these special effects. It was just such a cool ride.
I loved it. It was one of the best rides of all time. Like literally, that's all I can say. And
then I personally really also loved the Zootopia ride. Is it better than Pirates? I don't think so. But that was one of those rides that I was like, yeah, I'll go on it again. I wanted to go on it multiple times.
It was a lot of fun.
It was. The jetpacks, their Tomorrowland in general was so cool. You have Tron, you have the jetpacks, even their Buzz Lightyear was like the best version of Buzz Lightyear in it. Yeah. I usually hate that ride because I'm so bad at it, but I was actually good at But this one, because the targets are more accurate, so I liked it a lot.
Yeah, and I think our favorite food out of the entire park were the soup dumplings from the Mickey and Pal's Market Cafe.
We loved the corn popcorn. That was so good.
Oh, yeah. It tastes like corn chowder.
And then that beef and kimchi wrap.
Okay, we got a bunch of questions from you guys on Instagram. We're going to try to answer a bunch of them right now. How many days do you need in each park? If I were to give you the advice, Hong Kong Disneyland, I think you might be able to do it in one day, but I would say give yourself 2 days. The problem is there's so few hours. You know what I mean? It opens at 10:30 and closes at 8. Universal Beijing, you could do in one day, but again, I would say
at
probably
least
2. Shanghai Disneyland, I would say 2.
Yeah. So all of them 2.
I think Hong Kong you could do in one.
Yeah.
You could maybe do in one.
Because it is a very small park.
Yeah.
But it's packed full of charm.
How bad was jet lag? How do you deal with jet lag?
The jet lag was honestly not that bad. One of our pro tips that we try to do, and we've succeeded when we went to Japan and when we went to China, is try not to sleep on the plane. And then when you land, try to stay up as long as possible.
Until it's like nighttime.
Yeah, until it's nighttime, until the sun goes down and you could go to sleep. We usually try to book our flights so we're landing like in the evening or like in the early afternoon.
Yeah.
So then we just force ourselves to stay up at least until like 8 p.m. and then we could crash.
Another question people ask us is, what are your tips for packing light on long trips like this? So we were away for 21 days and normally when we were taking trips, we just each take a carry-on luggage and then a backpack. So we pack a light, but for 21 days, it's hard to pack light for 21 days. So our strategy this time was pack less clothes and do laundry during the trip.
Which we did do.
It cost us a lot of money though.
But by the time I wanted to wash my clothes, it was when we got to Beijing. And the only option was dry cleaning at the hotel. And it was very expensive.
Honestly, I'd probably recommend that over another huge luggage, especially when you're traveling from multiple destinations. We were going on a bullet train. We didn't want to have to like lug stuff around. We had 3.
We were paranoid about
roller luggage,
which was a lot. Anything more than that, I can't even imagine.
Yeah. Another question people want to know is, were there any rides you couldn't fit on in Chinese theme parks? As you know, Asian people are on average much smaller than American people.
Yes.
For fitting on rides, I couldn't get on that one Jurassic Park roller coaster. I wasn't expecting to fit on it, to be honest with you. Roller coasters that are notoriously smaller to fit on.
Yeah, but we didn't have a problem with anything besides that.
We also didn't do a bunch of the roller coasters on this trip, so we avoided some of the roller coasters, not because we didn't think we could fit, but she gets motion sick, and some of them were like copies of rides that we've already been on.
We did a few of them. We did Wandering Oaken's Slippery Sleds or whatever that one was called. We fit on that. And I did the Minions one, which is like a little kid's roller coaster, and I fit on that.
Yeah.
So.
And I think Disney as a whole generally are more inclusive for different sizes.
Yeah, Universal is notorious for like their rides being a little more snug, even here like in America.
Yeah. I didn't really find a problem fitting on things, and I thought maybe that would have been more of a problem. Since the trip, I've actually lost almost 50 pounds at this point.
Congrats.
And I think I probably still wouldn't fit in the roller coaster. But whatever.
Well, when you lose another 50 pounds and we go back to Beijing, we could go on that roller coaster together.
Some people have wondered, would you ever consider going back to China? And the funny thing is, like I said originally, the reason why we booked all 3 parks going to Beijing was because we didn't think we would ever go back to China. Then after this trip, we're like,
I want to go back.
We need a reason to go back to China.
Yeah.
They're building a ride or land next to Zootopia in Shanghai.
Yeah, we'll be back, I think, eventually.
Yeah, we just need a reason.
We do. And we have a 10-year visa, so like we could do it.
Yeah. A lot of people asking, how do we book this trip? I do a lot of the research. I've said this in the past.
He does all the research.
Yeah, I'll do a combination of, I'll look at like Lonely Planet books. I'll look at TripAdvisor, videos on YouTube and TikTok. I find places we want to go and I take notes and I'll add them to like a Google map, plan an itinerary based on clusters of things. If things are close together, I'll figure out the best route to go through all those things. This was a little bit tougher because there hasn't been a lot of people from America going to China. So it was a little bit harder to plan, but still, I mean, honestly, the tourist attractions from 6 years ago are still tourist attractions for the most part.
Yeah, you did an amazing job. I get so many DMs that are like, who is your travel planner? I'm like, it was all Peter. And it was great for me because like
Travel planner Peter.
I had a rough idea of what we were doing, but it was so cool to wake up every morning and be like, okay, what are we doing today?
Okay, so a lot of people want to know, how do you get a visa for China? It is a little bit time intensive, complicated. I'll run through it for you. So you can find out all this information on the China Embassy website, but here's what is needed. You need your passport, and it must be a valid passport with at least 6 months beyond your intended stay in China. You need 2 blank pages in that passport. You need to fill out the visa application form, and you can download that from the website. You need to get a photo taken. It's a passport size photo that meets
separate photo than your passport.
Yeah. So we went to like a place and got a photo.
And the guy was like, where are you going? China? I wouldn't go there.
Yeah, he was like, you'd get arrested for singing a song. That's what he said.
Yeah. I was like, great.
You need proof of legal status in the United States. So if you're not a U.S. citizen, you'll need to provide your legal status, such as a green card or valid visa. All your information. You need a flight and hotel itinerary. So that
everything.
This is a complete itinerary of your entire trip, including the hotel and transportation bookings. So you need everything booked before you can apply for a visa. You need your hotels booked, you need your planes booked, you need your trains booked. All the people in your party's names need to be on all the bookings. So when I booked some hotels, it only had one name. I had to call the hotels and have them put both of our names and email us a record.
A little bit stressful.
So the difficult thing here is that you need to book this stuff all before you can apply for a visa. So you're spending all this money with the potential for the visa to not go through and your trip get canceled. Again, get trip insurance. But a lot of the stuff we booked refundable rates.
Yeah, so that makes it a little bit more expensive because we just weren't sure.
We really didn't have anything to worry about in the end. Another thing we did is we used a service.
Yeah. So if you're feeling a little overwhelmed and you want someone to get the job done, there are plenty of services out there that will help you. And they helped us and they made our lives so much easier.
Yeah, we found...
It was still stressful, but they did most of the work.
What I would recommend is look like for a local passport service. And usually they will offer like visa services where they'll help you. They'll walk you through and hold your hand, and they'll deliver the stuff to the Chinese embassy for you and all that stuff. You have to submit your passport to get the visa. So you actually need to like give them your passport. You're not going to have your passport for like a week. So along with all that, you need to submit for the visa. It costs $140 per person for each visa. And then in addition to that, we use that passport agency, and that cost a couple $100 each. So it was very costly to get these visas, but we have them for 10 years now.
Yeah. And the service was very helpful. So I think it was well worth it.
That said, if you're only going to go to one city in mainland China, you don't need
it. Yeah.
We got our passports and visas, I think, back within a week, but it ended up being fun.
Yeah. It ended up working out.
And I think we answered all the questions that we could, but maybe you know some stuff that we don't. So if there's anything that we didn't cover that we didn't answer, ask us in the comments and we'll either try to answer it or someone will try to answer it. Or if there's anything you know that we didn't know.
Yes, please leave a comment. You're helping everybody. You're helping us. You're helping everybody who wants to travel to China.
Yeah, we'll heart all the tips so that people can read them and get the information. Thank you for watching this whole thing. I know this has been a lot, but I'm glad that we were able to put it out there because we learned a lot in this process of traveling to China. And hopefully this information can help one of you out there.
But for now, we'll see you on our next adventure.
Thanks for watching.
Bye, guys.